is we'll quickly finish some of the discussion that was left in the thumbs up video case, and then we'll move forward. So thumbs up video case, we did certain transactions. We learned how to put some journal entries and directly put the amount in T accounts. And today what we'll do is that we'll continue from there. So what I had given you kind of a homework is that you prepare the income statement and balance sheet. So I'll assume that you haven't, but I'll assume that you have prepared the trial balance at least. So can somebody tell me the trial balance so that we can take the discussion from there? So what I'll do is that, let's say this is the trial balance. So tell me all the numbers and we can resume the discussion from there. Don't bother too much that whether your numbers are correct or not. We'll do the discussion. Don't worry. So quickly tell me all the numbers, heads and numbers. Someone, anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
So may I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first one is cash.
Okay, hold on. I haven't shared the screen. That's why this much people are wondering. Okay, just hold on. Yeah. Yeah, first one is cash. Yeah, how much?
Debit 45,500.
45,500. Okay. Just tell me the amount, debit and credit. No need to tell. Yeah.
Yes, and the second one is paid in capital.
Capital. Okay.
That is 165,000.
165,000. Okay.
And legal expenses.
Legal expenses.
Debit 2,700.
Okay.
Land. Debit 43,000. Yes.
Okay.
Buildings. Debit 5,000. So
okay.
If you put together, it can be 25,000.
It can be 25. Yes. If you write two places, building 1, building 2, it makes more sense to write one building and 25. That is all right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and mortgage credit 33,600.
36,600.
33,600, sir.
Okay.
And tape inventory 1 lakh.
Inventory 1 lakh. Okay.
Equipment and software 7,700.
Okay.
Miscellaneous office supplies 500 debit.
Office supplies 500.
Accounts payable 18,750.
Accounts payable 18,750.
Wage expenses 62,000.
Yeah.
Advertisement expenses 6,000 debit.
Yeah.
Accounts receivables 2,000 debit. Sales revenue 96,000 credit.
Yeah.
Accumulated depreciation 1,360 credit.
So accumulated depreciation 1,360.
Yes, sir.
1,360.
Credit, sir. Yes.
Credit. Okay. Accumulated depreciation of what?
Of this land and buildings, sir. Buildings and inventory, I think.
Okay, we'll see. Accumulated depreciation something. Okay, go ahead.
So cost of goods sold 16,667.
Okay.
Interest expenses 2,900.
Interest expense 2,900.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So actually, sir, one issue I'm facing, like when we are trying to depreciate the inventory part.
Don't worry, we'll discuss all of these. Just tell me all the heads. Okay.
Okay, sir. These are the total heads, sir, and the total is debit side. I've got
outstanding.
Interest outstanding.
Interest expense, has it been paid in cash? Is your debit and credit tallying?
No, sir. There is a slight difference.
Okay. Okay. Any other item? Others? Anything that is missing out completely? As a heading. Forget about the amount. As a heading, anything missing?
Prepaid ads, I think.
Advertisement. Okay. So what he has done is he has shown everything here. So we'll discuss about that. So this needs to be discussed. This also needs to be discussed.
Bad text, sir.
Then this needs to be discussed. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Anything that is completely missing.
Bad text, sir.
Sorry, come again. Who's speaking? I can't see.
Bad date.
Bad dates. Okay, कुछ पैसे बर्बाद भी हो गए हैं. Bad date expense कितना है?
2200.
2 2000.
2200. No, 2200.
2200. अच्छा, ये कोई गलत केस पढ़ लिया क्या मैंने आज?
So that should be account receivable, right? Like
That's
it's not been
bad debt.
Yeah, that's not bad debt. That's account receivable.
Yeah, okay, this is more of a English problem here. So if you look at the language, that's not what they're talking about. They're not saying that this much money is lost. They are saying that this much is yet to be received. Okay, if they would have said that this much money is lost, then you would have created bad debts. Okay, show it. Only 2200 has not been collected. So the meaning here is that not that it is not collectible. Meaning is that so far we have not got it. We'll get it later on. Okay. So that is why it is not a bad debt. Okay, fine. Let's go to all of these one by one. First of all, let us get the one very important item is completely missing here is that depreciation. Where is depreciation? So you gave me accumulated depreciation. Where is depreciation? Depreciation should have been under 3 heads. Depreciation on building, depreciation on equipment, depreciation on inventory. It is this part that you have called COGS. So when I think Surendra was mentioning, right, all these items, who was mentioning?
Yes.
So when
Yes.
he is saying COGS, basically he wants to call inventory depreciation as COGS. You need to understand that this one is a rental business, and what used to be our COGS, similarly they are in a rental business, inventory just doesn't go out. Actually, when it goes out, it comes back to us after the usage. So that is why instead of COGS, we have the depreciation. So what I will do is that I will club this here itself. I don't want to maintain a COGS because that will be a misleading term to use. I will call it depreciation on inventory. Okay, there I will write 1667. Okay, one more 6, 16,667. Okay, now let's go ahead and discuss. So cash, I think everybody would be agreeing that this is the cash. Capital also okay, legal fee okay, land okay, building we'll discuss, mortgage okay, inventory. Inventory, is it 1 lakh or more? There is one more lot of purchase, 18,750 has been spent.
118750.
So you should write both of these. So this one doesn't make any sense here. So let me write inventory ka T account. Inventory ka T account, 1 lakh you purchase in one lot, and then you spent once again something, and 18,750 you spent. So total, at least you should have written 18,750, 118,750. Okay, because this is what you have bought the inventory for. Okay, fine. Software and equipment, some people would have clubbed it, some people would have kept it together. He has clubbed it, some people would have kept it separate. Anyone there out there who has kept 6,700 to separate and 1,000 separate?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Software
basically, yeah. So basically here, this problem is more of a language problem. That in the case, the way things are written, it's not clear that when we are mentioning 5 years of life, they're mentioning that these equipment will have 5 years of life. Now they did not specify very clearly, rather in clear words, that does it include software also or not, right? So that is the reason of the difference. So because unfortunately here the language of case itself is vague, both of these treatments are okay. Neither of these are correct or incorrect. If you go ahead and club them together and provide depreciation on this much, then it's okay. If you provide the depreciation only on 6,700, that is also okay. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Any issues? रियल लाइफ में क्या करेंगे, एग्जाम में क्या करेंगे, that anxiety? No. Let's discuss real life में क्या करेंगे, what you would have done to resolve this issue. The
Sir,
issue is that I don't know whether I can club the software with equipment or not. So this anxiety can have two aspects, that what we'll do in the real life and what we'll do in the exam. So real life, what we would have done.
Sir, does use of software come under depreciation or amortization?
Oh, that difference you just ignore for the time being. Let us call it, in case you are feeling really confused, let's call it depreciation and amortization. Okay. अब ठीक है. Bottom line is that you want to calculate depreciation on equipment. Would you want to depreciate 6,700 for 5 years and then for further 6 months, or would you want to depreciate 7,700 for 5 years and then 6 months? Sorry.
Sir, in the case, is it mentioned like software will be expired after 5 years? It is. I think it is not mentioned like that.
Yeah, it's not mentioned. That's what I'm telling you, that is what doubt is, that it is
Then-
not mentioned. Unfortunately, this is also not mentioned, that computer is gone and software will remain. So the point I'm mentioning here, Vaishak, the point I'm mentioning here is that depending upon your perception, some people will read it as if that software will live only as long as computer does, and some people will assume it as if that computer will keep on coming and going, but software will be there with us. Fortunately or unfortunately, both sort of softwares exist. So from language, we could not deduce that what it is. I'm asking that in real life, somebody asks you to prepare income statement and balance sheet, and this is the detail that is given. How would you resolve it? Will you say that I have made my own assumption, or you will find some resolution? That's the question I'm asking. Very simple question. इतना मुश्किल है नहीं, बहुत complicated.
Ask the owner.
I simply ask the owner, as simple as that. That what sort of software are you talking about? That's all. Problem solved. Fine. Only problem is in exam or in tests or somewhere when you're solving a case where you don't have the option to communicate. There we will have no option but to make an assumption. Okay. So real life, this is not a problem. Only it's a problem because this thing is written. Right now we don't have phone number of Linda Williams that we can call. That what did you mean? So we will go ahead and with one assumption. ठीक है, यहाँ तक समझ में आया? So for the time being, or what if in exam I give you a version like this and which can be interpreted in two different ways? Make one assumption and proceed. Fine. If there is a space, write the assumption that assuming that software is different from the computer and software will continue, and then proceed accordingly. Okay? Of course, if I have ended up making a language which is possible to be interpreted in different manner, then I'll have to create a different versions of the solution and both will be correct. Don't in an attempt to doing so, don't make lame assumptions which are not which should not sound feasible, or rather which do not sound right. For example, let's say I'm reading this case. One assumption could be that all of these information is wrong and nothing ever happened. That is also an assumption. Don't make it. So bottom line is that there is no case and there is no solution. Now, Sir told me that we can make our own assumption. Assumption should be realistic. That imagine yourself from a business perspective that in real life these things are happening. If things are vague, then if there are two equally competing options out there, then they take any of them. If one is better than other, then always take the better one. Don't take the easier one. ठीक है? Exam में a lot of time it will happen that you, just to save yourself some discomfort of calculating the numbers, you will take an easier one. But if it doesn't make sense, then you will lose marks. Okay? समझ में आया? तो ridiculous assumption मत लेना, but if things are vague, make an assumption and proceed. Fine, समझ में आ गया? Now here what we will do is that we can make any one of these assumptions. Either we can assume that they are talking about software is different from the equipment, or they are talking about the software as same as equipment. So anybody who tells me that, okay, let's call this method A and method B, whichever first prompt I will get, I will assume that. So which one should I assume? A or B? Okay, 1. So let's go with A. So I will assume that both of them are included. So we'll provide a depreciation on 7,700. Point here, bottom line here is this is just by assumption. We are assuming that software will also die after 5 years along with computer. In that assumption, if I divide this 7,700 by 5, then I get annual depreciation. Right? What is my accounting period? Only 6 months. So I further divide it by 2, and that is how I get 6 month ka depreciation. Is it okay? Okay. So how much is this amount? So depreciation on equipment is how much?
770, sir.
770. 770. Okay. Clear? Now in accumulated depreciation, I need to write it. So as somebody has already said that we want to follow accumulated depreciation system, so we'll follow this. Now, if you remember the system of accumulated depreciation, it is, so right now in this example, nothing is mentioned. So it's free for us. Let me tell you a few more things. So we'll come back to this 770 in a bit. I'm talking about something else now. Two things I will talk about very quickly. One thing is that so far what we have been doing is that we have been taking examples or cases where we started the business and then we prepare income statement and balance sheet, right? So when we started the illustration, every time we assume that business is starting right now, but it is not a necessity. You may have a continuing business and you may have to prepare an income statement or balance sheet for continuing business. From a new business to a continuing business, there will be a very slight difference in the way you prepare income statement and balance sheet. What will be the difference? The difference will be, okay, just in case some people are not interested, यही वाला एग्जाम में आने वाला है. Okay. Now
The opening balance.
attention. Yeah, go ahead. So the only difference will be that in a continuing business, we will have a balance sheet to begin with. For example, even when we start the operations, we will have a cash from last year. We will have some inventory from last year. We will have some machinery from last year. Let's say all these things. And that's how we have a balance sheet. And similarly, we may have some capital, some retained earning, and some loan. So everything, the preparation of income statement and balance sheet, all the steps will remain same. That first you will analyze the transaction, then you will pass the journal entry, then you prepare your ledger accounts, then you prepare your trial balance, and then you prepare your income statement and balance sheet. The only difference will be here. When you prepare a ledger account, then what was the first step? First step was to go to every journal entry and decide whether you already have a T account or not. In a continuing business, even before the step number 1 of preparing a ledger, there will be step 0. That will be that first thing should be that prepare a T account of all these first, without even being asked. So whether these are getting covered in journal entry or not, irrespective of that, prepare a T account of cash, prepare a T account of inventory, prepare a T account of, let's say, cash, inventory, your building or whatever it was, machinery, then capital T account, then retained earnings T account, and then loan T account. These things will appear simply because they had some balance to begin with. That is point 1 in step 0. And point 2 is that for all the assets, write the balance in the debit side. So for cash, whatever be this number, let's say this number was 23,800. Then in the debit side of the cash T account, write 23,800. So similarly for inventory is also an asset, so write in the debit side. Machinery is also an asset, write in the debit side. For all the liabilities, write the balance in the credit side. Okay. Does it make sense to write? Am I telling you to mug up something? No. If you remember that when we were preparing our trial balance, go and check our trial balance. All the assets there always had the debit balance. You can refer to your, means not right now. Right now you can refer to your this one. Building, see, debit balance. Land, debit balance. Capital, credit balance. all the assets will have the debit balance and all the liabilities will always have a credit balance. It will always happen so. Okay, so that is why what you should do is that all the assets and assets you should write their balance in the debit side, and all the liabilities you should write their balance in the credit side. That will be step 0 of ledger, and then you proceed. Let's say once again something happened in cash, so you write in this T account here or there. Inventory, let's say got fresh purchase of inventory, then you write here in the same T account. Okay, this to record the fact that when you started the period, then to begin with itself you had certain balance left. Fine, that is point number 2. Point number 1. Point number 2 is about accumulated depreciation. So as I have said it to you earlier, so depreciation can be provided in 2 manners. One is you can subtract the value of the asset itself, machinery, land, building, whatever. And one is you can leave these assets as it is and you can transfer everything into a new head called accumulated depreciation. Now, which one should you follow? If the illustration already has told you a method, then follow the same method. For example, let's say in this balance sheet, it was mentioned value of machinery here, less accumulated depreciation here, and then they are talking about the total amount. That means they are mentioning it to you that this business follows a system of writing accumulated depreciation separately. Then follow this system, Now you don't have a choice. But if nothing is mentioned, then it's up to you. You can follow this as well as this. ठीक है, समझ में आ गया? If accumulated depreciation is already mentioned in the opening balance sheet, then follow accumulated depreciation. If not, then you are free to choose whichever. Fine? Fine, yes, no? Okay, just a quick reminder. So I see so many videos turned off. So I don't want to waste class time every time reminding you to keep the videos on. I don't know why you guys don't remember it. So एक बार याद दिलाया, 2 बार याद दिलाया, अच्छी बात है. तीसरी बार भी याद दिला दिया, वो अच्छी बात है. लेकिन 5वीं 6वीं बार तो याद रखो. कितना स्नैक खाओगे भाई? कभी तो उठ जाओ. कि सो रहे हो सबके सब? I have no clue. See, you should understand one very important part is that this online teaching is, we don't know how easy or difficult it is for you, but for an instructor it is especially difficult, because in a real classroom we could see your faces and understand कि समझ आया कि नहीं. Right now if I see, let's say, thumbnail of Rakshana, मुझे क्या पता वो thumbnail of Rakshana को समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं. So you should understand. See, issues and all are all right. I completely understand. In a typical class on a general crowd, at max 4 लोगों को या max 5 लोगों को ये issue होते हैं. But rest of the people, because of some reason कि यार बीच में फोन उठाने का मन कर रहा है, तो बीच में बच्चे भाग रहे इधर से उधर, तो मम्मी डांट रही है वगैरह वगैरह. See, I don't care at all. As long as you are on mute, I don't get distracted. But if I see all those thumbnails, then I just completely lose a track of whether whatever I'm saying is making sense or not. Then what happens? I will keep on repeating the same thing because I'm not getting either visual feedback nor audio feedback. So, thoda sa be a little bit more accommodative. Maybe just thinking things very positively. Maybe this is the only term you have to deal with it. But what if you have to deal with it in the next term also? Will you just let all of this go? Because quality of teaching भी तो suffer करता है ना. It's not just that when I am dropping my quality, then you are not suffering. You will also suffer. Fine. फालतू का ज्ञान मिल गया. अब चुपचाप ऑन रखना. Let's carry on. Okay. So what I was talking about here is that when things are mentioned, follow the accumulated depreciation system. When it is not mentioned, then you are free to choose. Here, because you have mentioned the accumulated depreciation system, so we'll follow with that. Okay. So this depreciation we found out was 770 for equipment. That was based on the assumption is that our software will also last only for. Okay, once again, people giving reasons out here. I completely understand, but only point is that just be genuine. You don't need to stop behaving like kindergarten kids. सब कुछ बताना पड़ेगा कि इधर उठ के जाओ, उधर बैठो, पानी पियो, और अभी टॉयलेट जाने से पहले ऐसे हाथ उठा के पूछो. नहीं, we understand that you guys are adults, but then behave like one. Okay, चलो, let's carry on. So this one will go into accumulated depreciation. Now a little bit more of complication in your life, or rather, let me keep things separate, not a problem. So because I will be introducing 2-3 complications, so I will keep all these things separate. So accumulated depreciation on equipment is 770, and depreciation expense is 770. Okay, so equipment depreciation done. Let's come to building. Building is one of the easier one to deal with. So we had 25,000 worth of building, and it said that it has a 25 years of life. So this divided by 25 gives me annual depreciation. Annual depreciation is 1,000, but we are using building only for 6 months. Why? Because our accounting period is 6 months. So that is why I'll further divide it by 2. Fine. So basically the depreciation should have been this divided by 2. So that gives me 500 of depreciation on building. Is it clear? Building depreciation. So good. Yeah, go ahead.
So for accumulated depreciation, when you're taking equipment as well, you don't need to create a separate account, right? Usually in the T account, you mention the heads, right? Accumulated depreciation, building ये होता है, फिर equipment ये होता है, right? Usually in a ledger,
this is what
particulars are
complication I was
mentioned.
trying to avoid, but then he has forced me to tell it to you. So Rishabh, just hold on your question for a little bit, and then let me tell all the 3 depreciation, then I'll come back to your question. Okay, let us see. Basically, he is asking, could we have clubbed it or not? What is the need for preparing everything separate? Okay, I hope that's what you are asking. That's what you are asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You put it all in the AD account.
Yeah. Fine. I'll come back to that. So just see, if something could have been clubbed, definitely it can be put separate, right? So right now I'm going with the easier way. And then I will tell you whether it could have been clubbed or not. So depreciation on equipment done. Let's talk about depreciation on building. So I would write accumulated depreciation on building 500 and depreciation expense 500. Okay. Last one, inventory. Inventory seems that there is a little bit of complication, so I'll prepare some, write it somewhere fresh. So in 2 lots you have purchased inventory. One you have spent 1 lakh in the beginning and you kept using it for 6 months, and then 1 lot you have purchased when only 1 month was to go. Then you have spent how much? 18,750. This is how you have spent. So on this 1 lakh you have to provide depreciation for 6 months. And for this, you have to provide depreciation only for 1 month. I think there should not be confusion up till here, at least. All you need to do is just look at the date at which inventory has been purchased. Okay. Now let us compute the depreciation for this. This is also much easier. They are saying 1 lakh, its life is what? 3 years. What have you purchased for 1 lakh? You have bought 1,000 movies. You have bought 2 copies of each movie. That's how 2,000 tapes. And for every tape, you have paid $50 each. Right? So that is how you have spent this 1 lakh. And what is the life of this 1 lakh? Life is 3 years. So this divided by 3 will be my annual depreciation. But do I want annual? No, I only want 6 months ka depreciation. So I'll further divide it by 2. So for this particular part, my depreciation is 16,667. This is what this number comes out to be. Okay. I think there should not be any question up till here, but still if there is any, let me know. All good? Now here, next one. This one is slightly complicated only because of the way information has been given. First of all, let us understand what has happened. So this 18,750, how they have spent? They have purchased 25 movies, 10 copies of each movie, and for each copy they have paid $75. That is how they have spent 750. Fine. Now, unfortunately for us, they are not giving one life for all of these 10 copies. They are saying of these 10 copies, 8 copies per movie will have a different life and 2 copies per movie will have a different life. Now, how much different? These 8 copies, it's more like when a new movie comes, suddenly there is a huge demand in the market. But after a while, that additional demand because of the movie is being new completely dies out. So because of that, what they're saying is that of these 10 copies that we have purchased, 8 copies will be consumed only in 1 year. They will be completely gone in 1 year. But the 2 copies of these will have a life of 3 years, usual 3 years. Because the life of these 10 copies of each movie is not same, that is why we are breaking it up into 2 parts. They say that these 8 copies of the 10 have different life and 2 copies of the 10 have different life. That is why we broke it up into 2 parts. Now let us find out what life they have. So what did you spend on these 8 copies? This is what you spend. You bought 8 copies of 25 movies for $75 each. So on 8 copies, this is what you spent. On 2 copies, what did you spend? You bought 2 copies of 25 movies at 75 each. So this is what you spent on 2 copies each. If you add both of them together, this is the number you should get. Right? Now, the thing is that these 8 copies will have a life of only 1 year. So if I divide it by 1, I get annual depreciation. And these 2 copies will have a life of 3 years. So if I divide it by 3, I get annual depreciation. Now these 2 numbers are annual depreciation. Do I want the depreciation for 1 year? No, I want it only for 1 month. Why do I want it only for 1 month? Because when you purchased it only from then till now, what is now when you are preparing the statement? Until now, only 1 month has passed. Because only 1 month has passed, that is why we are preparing only 1 month for depreciation. Okay? Give depreciation only for a period for which you have used the asset. That is default. Fine. So that is why we will further divide it by 12 to find monthly depreciation. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Right? Let me quickly repeat. What is the information telling? Information is telling that you have purchased 25 movies ka 10 copies each. But these 10 copies do not have equal life. Their life can be broken up into 8 copies of the movie and 2 copies of the movie. The 8 copies of the movie out of 10 will have a life of only 1 year. Why? Because after that, nobody will ask for these. So it's almost as gone, as good as gone. And for the remaining 2 copies, people will keep on asking for them the way people keep on asking for the usual movies. So that is why 3 years. So this one will have a 3 year of life. Now, once I found out that this bifurcation, all I did is that I found out annual depreciation first, and then I found out monthly depreciation data. Okay? Let's find out the numbers. Someone can quickly tell me the numbers.
So for the 1 year one, it is 1250.
1250.
The other one is 104.17.
104. Ignore 0.17 for the time being. Okay. So this plus 16667. This is your total depreciation on inventory. Can somebody quickly tell me this number?
So 18021.
18021. Okay, perfect. So my memory is still serving me. So 18021. So what is the entry we would pass? We will pass accumulated depreciation on inventory 18021 credit and depreciation expense 18021 debit. Okay, fine. So every time we kept on passing the same entry, same journal entry. That is depreciation expense debit and accumulated depreciation credit. Fine. Now let us come to the question that someone was asking a little while ago, that could we have clubbed all of these, this A, B and C? Could I not have said one accumulated depreciation and one depreciation expense? It turns out that answer is mixed. Yes for depreciation expense and no for accumulated depreciation. when you are preparing income statement, you are giving all the different expenses. If you write just one line of depreciation expense, and let's say you write this amount total, whatever is the amount, let's say just for argument's sake, let's say 21,000 is the total amount. That is an acceptable number to us. So that is why you could club this depreciation expenses. But you could not have clubbed accumulated depreciation, because do you remember where you are going to use it? You are going to use it in the balance sheet. When you prepare your assets, when you prepare all your assets, you will write building, you will write your equipment, and you will write your inventory with whatever value. Now, it doesn't make sense to write all of these together and simultaneously give just one accumulated depreciation. Now, it completely defeats the very purpose why accumulated depreciation is there. समझ आ रहा है? Why? Do you guys remember why we used to prepare accumulated depreciation? Why did we go through this much of extra pain? Simply because we wanted to tell everybody that of these assets, how much we bought it for and how much is consumed. अगर आपने क्लब कर दिया, then this difference is all clubbed in this amount, right? समझ आ रहा है क्या हो रहा है?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is why you can go ahead and club the expense part, but the accumulated depreciation don't club it. Keep it separate. Why? Because the very purpose of accumulated depreciation is we want to give the detail of the assets. Okay. So that's about that whether we can club it or not. Is it clear? Okay. So that is about depreciation. Let's quickly discuss our where is 6,000 advertisement expense now. Advertisement expense, what is the timeline and why? Okay, so Surendra, you said that advertisement expense should be 6,000. Would you want to give an argument? Why did you put 6,000?
No, sir. Actually, it should be when we use it as an expense, we will record it as 6,000.
So,
but for 6 months, we can take it as 3,000. So.
Okay. So basically, here is the matching concept. So when are you paying for it? You are paying somewhere in January. What is the amount you are paying? You are paying 6,000. But this 6,000 is for 1 year. Is our accounting period 1 year in this case? No, not in this case. Our accounting period is only 6 months. So in this 6 months, you would have consumed only half of it, and remaining half would be consumed later on. That is why you need to break it up. Could I have applied materiality here? 3,000 and 3,000, right? You guys remember that just a little while ago, 2,700 ko humne bola tha, small amount, right? Could we have applied materiality here? No. Why not? Ishan, go ahead. Explain.
There's an element of ambiguity, because like the amount that we considered as negligible, this amount is almost more than 200% of it. So I don't think we can apply materiality here.
By this amount, he is considering 6,000. So once again, remember, when you are applying the concept of materiality, you apply it to the total number. You don't apply it to the pieces. For example, if somebody wants to look at this, oh, only 3,000, 2,700, it looks very close to 2,700. Then go ahead and apply it materiality here. No, that would be an incorrect thing to do. Why? Because pieces, as I said in the yesterday's class, it completely depends upon what frequency is your accounting period. If it is more frequent, of course, the pieces will be smaller. That doesn't mean that everything becomes immaterial. Your entire business will become immaterial. ठीक है, समझ में आया? Point and argument behind it. So because of that, now it's much higher number. How do you know much higher number? You can also compare it with the rest of the figures. Sales is not that humongous as compared to this. So that is why you can say that this is not an ignorable amount. 6,000 is not an ignorable amount. That is why we'll break it up into 2 parts. Fine. When you want to break it into 2 parts, what is the journal entry you will pass? There are 2 things. On the date of purchase, this is the journal entry you would have passed. Prepaid advertisement, asset debit, 6,000, and cash credit, 6,000. This is on the date of purchase. When the period has ended, of this 3,000 you will recognize as an expense. So you will say that now I have an expense, advertisement expense debit 3000, and I will reduce this asset value. So asset value will fall down, prepaid advertisement credit 3000. How these two entries would have gotten reflected in a T account? T account दो चीजों का बना के दिखा देता हूं. Let me show you. Prepaid advertisement, which is an asset. In that T account, first you would have written this 6,000. This 6,000 would have come in the debit side, and then this 3,000 would have come in the credit side. Okay, so 3,000 credit side. That is how you would have had a closing balance of 3,000. That is about the asset. Means you started with an asset of 6,000. Of that, 3,000 is gone, and that is how you are left with 3,000. That's what it is telling. And then you would have had a new T account of advertisement expense. So in that, this debit will go. This debit would go in the debit side 3,000. Okay, T account, is it clear? Now what I will do is that I will give you a shortcut for these two. Okay, it's just a shortcut. So notice the words proper. It's not a new method. It's more of a shortcut. It's like when you know how to solve mathematical equation, then let's say 2 or 3 steps you already know, then you can directly jump to 4th step. Okay, so that shortcut is that on the day when you are purchasing, there itself, half of this 6,000 you can recognize an asset and half as an expense. When you can do it, you can do it when you know the accounting period. Okay, so जब आप खर्चा कर रहे हैं, there you will know, you will read the contract. Okay, contract tells me that 1 year will be the benefit period. Now, do you know accounting period? Yes, all the time you know the accounting period. So you would know in the beginning itself that of this 6,000, 3 will become an expense and 3 will become an asset. So that is why we could do it. We could do the shortcut. So what is the shortcut? Shortcut is that cash credit 6,000, and in one go itself prepare an asset only of the remaining amount. Prepaid advertisement debit 3,000 and advertisement expense debit 3,000. ये समझ में आया? This is clubbing 1 and 2. Let us prepare a T account for this. Let me use another color for this one. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you finish, then I'll ask.
Yeah, just hold on a little bit. So what I would have done in the prepaid asset T account, I would have put in the debit side 3,000, and in advertisement expense in the debit side, advertisement expense in the debit side, I would have put 3,000. That is what with this entry. Now compare in system blue versus system red. This is system blue and system red is written in red. So here prepaid advertisement has a net value of 3,000. So instead of writing 6 here and 3 there, this is just giving you a net figure directly. That's all the difference that is. It just saves you a little bit of extra effort. That's all. Nothing much. Right? Yeah, question, go ahead.
So it's actually related to the idea of a journal. So in a business, journals are passed on a daily basis, right? So
yes, every moment.
So my point is, the advertisement, when you make the prepaid expense, the journal entry will be passed for prepaid expense debit 6,000 cash credit, and then at the end of the period, it's going to be realized, right?
Yes.
So then automatically 2 journal entries will be passed. You
Okay.
don't club it there, right?
No, that is what I was mentioning. So everybody heard what Rishabh is saying. What he's saying is that you are doing the journal entry every time something is happening. Correct. Accepted. Now, even though every time something is happening, let's say I am in January. Let's say I'm talking about in timeline, I am sitting on the day of 1st January 89. Now I spent 6,000, right? Now, would I know that why have I spent it? Yes, because I have spent it without knowing why did I spend. So when I inquired, I found out that this is an advertisement payment for 1 year. Okay. Now on this date itself, would I know that in my this accounting period, first of all, would I know what is my accounting period? Do I know
Yes, sir.
accounting period in advance, or suddenly it get realized later on that maybe during the
In
year
advance.
sometime? You always know it in advance because you are deciding with what frequency you will be preparing your statements. So I know that I am on this day itself. I'm talking about everything is happening on 1st January itself. That on this day itself, I know that my accounting period is going to be only 6 months. That is how on this day itself I know, because of going concern concept, that of this 6,000, 3,000 will become an expense and 3,000 will continue to be as an asset. ये मुझे 1 तारीख को ही पता है. I know this in advance. Because I know this in advance because of 2 things. One, I know my accounting period and I know I am a going concern. That is why I could do this shortcut on this day itself. I don't need to wait for the end of the day. Okay? Just a little bit of shortcut, nothing else.
Yes,
But
sir,
if you are really feeling really santy about it, go ahead with the long cut. Nothing, you don't
I
lose
just wanted
anything.
to clarify this.
Yeah. No, clarification is okay, but you should always keep this in mind that in some books, if you find this kind of a treatment, that should not come as a surprise to you. ये तो book या तो book गलत है या सर गलत पढ़ा है या मुझे समझ में नहीं आया. No, it might be something apart from all these alternatives. Fine. Okay. ठीक है. That is all about prepaid expenses. So what did we do? That we will want to break this advertisement here. That we are not saying 3,000, 6,000 is an expense. We will saying only 3,000 is an expense, and remaining is our asset. So we will call it prepaid advertisement asset, and then give the 3,000 in the debit side. Fine. Any issues up till here? सब समझ आ गया? Okay, cool. Let me see.
एक nomenclature को लेके एक बस doubt है.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like if I write it just as an advertisement asset, like I know that advertisement is something which I'm having an asset for the next 6 months. Like, will that be fine? Will that be pardonable?
See, that's what I was saying. I think this part I have already been answering from accounting equation itself, that everything is pardonable except for the 2-3 terms that I'm specific about. I'm specific about accounts payable, accounts receivable. I'm specific about sales. I'm specific about cash, capital, and maybe one more thing.
COGS, you were saying.
COGS also not that specific. But these things, that's all. An inventory. Apart from that, building ko you call it property, housing property, I don't care at all. As long as you are putting it in the asset side. Now, why don't I care? Is it something that I'm more personally attached to? No, my only thing is that these terms are standard terms and have a restrictive meaning. So if you go to this country, there also you will see the usage of the word inventory. Some other country, there also they will mention the word inventory and they will mean the same thing. Similarly about the capital. Similarly about accounts payable and accounts receivable and sales. But about building, you can see कि ये लोग कुछ और बोल रहे हैं, इधर property बोल रहे हैं, उधर कोई building बोल रहा है, कहीं कुछ और बोल रहा है. So that is why I have left it open. So similarly, to answer to your question specifically, these things, as long as it is intuitive and you are putting it in the correct side, I don't care at all. Fine. So if you simply say prepaid advertisement, this is okay. If you say advertisement asset, that is also okay. Prepaid advertisement asset, that is also okay. Why did I write longer version then? I simply wrote because when you are transferring these into income statement and balance sheet, things become much faster and you tend to not make any mistake when you kept on giving these subscripts. क्योंकि जब आप बना रहे हो तभी आपने फॉर एग्जांपल इंटरेस्ट का देखो, एक इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस था और एक इंटरेस्ट आउटस्टैंडिंग था. So if I don't give these subscripts, then later on you will get confused. अरे ये वाला उधर जाना था कि इधर जाना था? What was to happen? So it just saves a little bit of confusion later on. But if you are really sure, then feel free to use your own name. No issues at all. It will not be incorrect, at least as far as this course is concerned. Fine. Okay. So last bit here is about office supplies. Let me check if I have answered everything else. Any other questions? that you found that has been not answered, which you found, you noticed in the case, but you feel that it has not been answered yet? I think depreciation was the only confusing part. Except for that, the small confusion was that equipment is include kare ki na kare. It so turns out that you are completely free. And then last part, small bit, I will just mention what to do with this office supplies. Where will it go? I'm assuming rest all you can find out where it will go in the income statement or balance sheet. Cash will go in the balance sheet, capital balance sheet, legal expense, income statement, so on and so forth. One question, where will office supplies go? Vaishnavi, batao. Vaishnavi, where will office supplies go?
Assets.
Assets, okay, there. Fine. Why assets?
Because you buying them as a part of assets. Like,
Okay, because
then-
you have bought something and it is with you, that is why asset. Fair enough. Is there any other treatment possible?
Expense, materiality.
You can expense it. So there are two treatments possible for these office supplies. Either you can put them as, you can imagine that pura office supplies are left with you. Just imagine that what are we talking about? It's like stapler, the pins of the stapler. Let's say we are talking about cartridges of your printers or some loose sheets of your printer. These kind of office supplies. Now, by matching concept, when should I bring it to income statement and when should I keep it in the balance sheet? For that, I need to know that of this amount, what have I consumed? I need to know that it is still there with me or have I consumed it? Now, it so turns out that in this question, they have mentioned it and completely forgot about it. Right? So, I need to find some way out that do I take it in the income statement or do I take it in the balance sheet? That is the question I'm asking, that where it should be taken. One option was that Vaishnavi mentioned that it is an asset to us. So, take it in the asset side of the balance sheet. And somebody was saying, I think Ishan or somebody was saying is that take it as an expense. Which one is correct?
Sir, if we use it as an asset, we will have to put depreciation as well, right? But then using materiality concept, we just say that if all 500 rupees, hai na, wo?
Okay.
All 500
Two
rupees.
things Bhumi actually mentioned in one sentence itself. She mentions 2 points. One is that in this example, actually, you know, our life is very simple. Why? Because the amount involved is small. So when the amount involved is small, no need to prepare an asset for it. Even though you might still have some cartridges left, some papers left, and some stapler, and it's been left. Why? Because we have materiality concept to save ourselves. Materiality says that no need to adopt the matching concept to its finest detail as long as the amount is very small. Now, how do I know this amount is small? Just a little while ago, we said only 2,700. So if 2,700 is small, what do you think is $200 or $500? Definitely much smaller, right? So in this case, our life is very simple that we will take everything into income statement. What if this amount was slightly bigger? Then what we would have done? Let's say this amount was 4,800. तो क्या करते? भावना बताओ क्या करते? Question पता चला?
Sorry, sir.
Did you get the question? I am saying that what if this office supply had been purchased for a number which was sizable enough? Let us say 4,800. Where you would have taken it? And let's say question is not mentioning anywhere what happened to this office supplies. What would have made more sense? Question समझ में आ गया?
No, sir.
Question समझ आया भावना?
No, sir.
Basically what I am saying is that the case पढ़ा मैंने. Let me start from point 1. Case पढ़ा, solve किया.
No, sir.
So case में there is one information which says office supplies of $200 or $500.
Yeah.
So what Bhumi is suggesting is that because the amount is small, we can show everything is in income statement. Okay, agreed. My counter question is that what we would have done or what would have made sense if this amount was bigger. that we could not brush it under materiality. What we would have done? We would have treated it as an asset in the balance sheet. बैलेंस शीट में असेट साइड में लिखते ये ऑफिस सप्लाई, या फिर इनकम स्टेटमेंट में लिखते ऑफिस सप्लाई एक्सपेंस, क्या करते इसका?
So according to me, it should be mentioned in asset portion.
Why?
Because in the end, we are going to use that supply, no?
Okay. Basically, she is assuming that we are going to use it. So if nothing is mentioned, assume it is not consumed. That is what Bhavna is saying. Okay. Now, so in this one mentioned that I said that, or remember that I said that when Bhumi mentioned her point, then there were two aspects to it. One is materiality. Another is that we needed to provide depreciation. Now here, if they are completely silent, then it must have meant that everything is consumed. Otherwise, if something is left out, they must have told us that, okay, this much is still remaining. So then we would have created a similar thing like we do for COGS. What we do for COGS, we find out that, okay, how much we had opening, how much did we purchase during this period, and what are we left with. None of such information are given to us. That is why we would have assumed that everything is consumed. Samajh aaya?
Sir, one thing.
Just hold on before I take your question. But having said that, technically speaking, or even legally speaking, you would not have been incorrect in assuming that none of these have been spent. It is that out of these two, one makes slightly more sense than the other. It doesn't at all mean that the other assumption will be incorrect. Okay? So if somebody assumes that nothing has been spent, no problem. You cannot challenge. Nobody can challenge that. Yeah, go ahead, Ashan.
I'm saying one thing in this like header. There's one thing said that software and equipment has 5 years ka life, right?
Yeah.
So in that, so office supplies can be taken as an equipment that is being hired by the office, that is being purchased by the office for enhancing productivity, right?
नहीं, ये थोड़ा सा overstretching हो गया. It's more of a what you can say, that in the manner in which you use the language, that office supplies is different and software and equipment are different. अगर आप प्रिंटर खरीदते हो और उसके साथ शीट्स खरीदते हो, then sheets have a different way of functioning than the printer. Printer will have its own fixed life. Sheet will keep on lying there as long as you don't use it. Office supplies, most of the office supplies are of the similar nature. Let's say you are in a what are we talking about of supplies? Let's say you are in carpentry business. Okay, so then your raw material is all wood and all, but your nails and Fevicol and little bit of paint here and there and anti-termite varnish or whatever, these things are your office supplies. So typically they have much longer life. You would want to show them as an expense as you keep on consuming. What I'm telling you here is that if only purchase is mentioned and nothing else is mentioned, then there are two options that you can assume. One is that everything is left, another is everything is consumed. Of the two, everything consumed makes more sense, because if anything was left, they would have given us the information. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, perfect. Now that the
But then the office, so
yeah.
if the amount was large, like 5,000, 10,000, whatever, you would
Yeah.
have to provide for depreciation on office supplies.
No, that's what I'm saying, that we would have had to, but for that, we need to know how much is left. Okay. So office supplies behaves more like inventory than equipment. That's what I just answered. So
but
what
I'm
you
saying
say,
still you provide for depreciation. Depreciation too must be there on office supplies.
no. That's what I'm about to. Let me complete. What I'm saying is that inventory का जब आप difference निकालते हो, do you use the word depreciation? You use the word depreciation only in case of rental business.
Right.
Other than that, what is the word you use? You use the word COGS, right? For the part, denoting the part that you have consumed.
Okay. Clear. Got it.
Yeah. Similarly, so that's okay. You got it for the rest of the class. Similarly, for office supplies, the term used should not be depreciation. Rather, the term used should be, let's say, supplies consumed. Supplies consumed. Okay. समझ आ रहा है ये क्या बातें हो रही हैं? सब बाउंस हो जाए, समझ आ रहा है? Okay, good. Let's do the last bit of the thing that we needed to do today. I'll just make some random numbers. I'm assuming that now after the trial balance is done, rest all is cakewalk. All you need to do is look at the item and find out income or expense, take it into income statement, and asset or liability, take it into balance sheet. I think that part is very simple. So I'm assuming that you already know it. Okay. What I will do is that I'll tell you two small concepts here. One, for that I'll prepare a format of income statement. Okay. Let's say I have an income statement, something like this. Let's say sales of rupees 20 lakhs. Okay. Subtract COGS of, let's say, 11 lakhs. Subtract rent of, let's say, 3 lakhs. Subtract salary of, let's say, 2 lakhs. And one more, let's say, subtract depreciation of, let's say, 2 lakhs. And that's all. And that's how you get your profit. So how much is the profit in this example? I hope it is still a profitable business. So ज़्यादा ही expense करा दिया क्या? 11 then
2 lakhs.
How much?
2 lakhs.
2 lakhs profit. Okay. Now this profit has a specific name. This profit is called profit before tax. Okay. Now you would have solved some examples on your own and some examples in the tutorial also. Today you will solve one more example in tutorial, assuming a tutorial happens today. What you will see is that there will be certain transactions given, and for that you keep on passing journal entries. What is the journal entry do you pass when any expense is given? Let's say one information is given is that, let's say, rent expense is 50,000. What do? What journal entry do you pass?
So if you assume it's cash, then you do rent expense, cash credit. If
Okay,
it's
if
not,
this is what is being written, do you assume cash or not?
so yes, sir.
Cash.
Okay, so you assume cash. So what is the entry? Rent expense debit and
Cash
cash credit. This is what you would have done. Now,
sir.
similarly, let's say if the information tells you an information about, let's say, information number 2 and 3. Let's say similarly, there is an information about tax expense of, let's say, tax expense is rupees, let's say, 25,000. Then you would pass the journal entry in exactly similar manner. No difference at all. Nothing. Then why am I wasting your time? I'm wasting your time is that unfortunately tax information will not always be in terms of numbers. When it is in numbers, then you don't need to break your head. You already know how to treat them. यहाँ पे जो rent आया उसकी जगह tax expense डाल देना. That's all. But sometimes this information might be in terms of percentages. For example, let's me create an information. Let's say a new information A is that this business is subject to tax. Business is subject to tax at the rate 50%. Now things become complicated. If the amount is written, no issues at all. You will go ahead as you were so far. But if the tax rate is given instead of the amount, what you will do is you will leave it and reach up till this point of the income statement. इस पॉइंट के पहले तक इस इंफॉर्मेशन को कंप्लीटली इग्नोर कर देना. Just completely ignore it. Why do you ignore it? Because you needed this information to find the value of this transaction. And then straight away you can put a journal entry of this. So right now, let's say this is the information that has been given. So what you can do is straight away subtract tax from this of 1 lakh, and then you have net profit, or it is also called profit after tax for obvious reasons. 1 lakh. Fine.
So there's a question, sir. That is, for most of these expenses, these expense accounts, do we close them? Do we pass the closing entries also in journal?
What do you mean by closing entry?
So as in all these accounts will be having a debit balance expense, all incomes will have a credit balance. Do you close it to the income statement? As in you credit the debit balance and then debit the income?
No. वो सब करने की So these are the issues that arise when you read too many Indian books. So basically the problem here is that as long as, let's say, you have prepared a T account and it had, let's say you are talking about cash, it had certain balance, let's say 23,000. Okay. Now when you brought it into the trial balance, then trial balance had cash of 23,000. Okay. Now that's all. You don't need to pass any journal entry. The moment you are bringing it to the asset side, that itself is the closing entry. So don't confuse your life unnecessarily. Those things are more for कुछ तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स के लिए छोड़ दो, और थोड़ा सा उनको तलवार चलाने दो इधर उधर. That's okay. बहुत 5-6 साल मेहनत करते हैं. But the same thing here. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, can you repeat what will happen in case the tax percentage is given?
अरे वो कर रहे हैं, वो बीच में ही वो भाई साहब घुस गए ना, हमारे ऋषभ भाई साहब बीच में ही घुस गए, टैक्स परसेंटेज पे आ रहे हैं. That is not even done yet. Okay. So basically this one relates to the previous part. That's why I'm answering right now, and then I will move to the tax part. So don't get anxious. I'll answer it in much detail. So what is happening here is that the moment you transfer all the amounts from the trial balance to either income statement or balance sheet, that itself is your closing entry. No need to separately read closing entries. ठीक है, तो बुक में जहाँ closing entry लिखा होगा, just understand it as a separate drama that you don't need to play. If you have transferred it to appropriate place, done, your job is done. ठीक है, समझ आया? Okay. Now let us come back to our interest. Tax. Now what I was saying here is, or rather I started to say here, is that in some situations the tax information may be in terms of percentage. Then what do? Then you completely ignore that information until you reach at this point. What is this point? This point is profit before tax. That after ignoring tax, what is the profit you found? And on that, apply the tax rate. Right now it says 50% only because of the ease of calculation. So I have given 50% of this money. 2 lakh was the pre-profit tax. So my tax burden is 1 lakh. And that's all. You found out net profit. Now here you would notice that by doing this, only one side of the transaction is done. Every transaction has a debit and a credit. Debit and a credit. So right now, what was there? So I would have passed a journal entry of tax expense debit and cash credit. And I don't know the amount. So right now I have found the amount. So when I mentioned this number, then I am basically transferring this directly. So it's like just the moment you wrote this tax expense 1 lakh, then you have passed the journal entry, you have prepared the T account, you have passed it to trial balance, and you have written it here. All these steps have happened just once in one go. Why? Because you have directly taken the amount to its final destination. Fine. So debit side to आपने accommodate कर दिया. Now credit side is a trick here. Credit side, we need to know whether you have paid it or not. For that, you need to look at the information in a little bit of more detail. Okay. If you would have paid it, you would have entered this amount, this entry, tax expense debit and cash credit. If you wouldn't have paid it, what would have been the journal entry?
So tax
cash, you would have tax outstanding, credit, right? Yahi karte. Fine. Right now, what I'm saying is that the debit part is done. The moment you wrote this, journal entry ho gaya. But you make sure that if something you enter directly into the income statement or balance sheet, you enter them twice. Why do you enter them twice? Because every debit has a credit and vice versa. So this one, it so turns out that the debit part is done. What is the credit part? Let us go and find out from information. Has it been paid or not? So they are saying that the business is subject to tax of 50%. Let's say this language was written. What does it convey to you? Would it have been paid or not?
So it doesn't say that they have paid.
It doesn't. It doesn't even say they even know what is their tax burden, right? So if this is the language given and no specific information, the default assumption should be no cash has been paid. So karna kya hai us case mein? This journal entry is only for your reference. Karna kya hai? One thing is you show the tax expense, and when you are preparing your balance sheet, then among other assets and liabilities, in the liability side, prepare one tax outstanding and write 1 lakh. Done. Fine. So this is recording the credit side and this is recording the debit side. Fine. Now, as a corollary, can you imagine what if I add a little bit of more information in this? What if I say that the business is subject to tax at 50% and we have paid tax is paid to the amount, let's say 1 lakh rupees. What you would have done? ये information अगर additional डाल दिया. Point number 1, if no information, assume nothing has been paid. Point number 2, if let us say everything has been paid, what would you do? The journal entry now would be cash credit 1 lakh. Okay. यहाँ तक समझ में आ रहा है? Then what you would have done is that this will remain as it is, but only change will be whether you have paid it or not will change how you reflect things in the balance sheet. So now your cash balance, whatever it was, let's say so far it was 27 lakhs. Then you will subtract tax here 1 lakh and you will say that I would, if I go and check my bank, I should have only 26 lakhs left. Why? Because I have not accounted for the fact so far that I paid 1 lakh of tax. Fine, समझ आया? I'll repeat, no problem. Outstanding वाला समझ में आ गया? Outstanding, okay, I'll repeat. So this is why the videos feeds are important. Okay, so now what if some information is mentioned about the payment also? So if you remember what I said, that if the tax information is in percentages, then ignore this information. So far you had ignored this information. Only now after doing your cash T account, inventory T account and all the T accounts, now you are putting your attention towards this. That means what? That effect of this transaction has not been recorded in the books. Fine. Now, if let us say the information says that tax is subject to, business is subject to 50% tax. Now, after reaching this point, you found out 1 lakh is the tax. Then you found out that of this 1 lakh has been paid off. तो इस 1 lakh का कहीं पे भी आपने कैश रिड्यूस तो किया नहीं था वेदक? Did you reduce your cash when you were preparing your T accounts? No. Why? Because you had completely ignored this transaction. So reduce it now. So if I reduce it now, that is what I do. I go look at the cash balance so far and I reduce it by 1 lakh and I say I have only 26 lakh cash left. ये समझ में आ गया? Now the difference between the tax burden and tax payment will be your asset or liability. ठीक है? Here both of them are same, so there will be no tax outstanding. Tax outstanding will be 0. Let me take one more case. What if they would have said that tax paid is, let's say, only 50,000? How things would change? Things would change like this. Then you would say that only 50,000 should be subtracted for 27, because that is what you have paid, right? But what was your burden? Your burden was 1 lakh. So basically in our head, we are passing this journal entry. We are passing the journal entry as tax expense debit 1 lakh, cash credit 50,000 and tax outstanding 50,000. Okay, so this tax expense is already here. Cash, when I'm reducing 50, I'm talking about cash credit directly, and now I need to prepare a tax outstanding as well. So I will write tax outstanding 50,000. Fine.
Sir, so the cash.
Let me repeat. Just hold on. I'll take the questions because let me get entire class together. What did I just now say? I said that if the tax is in percentages, then ignore it until you reach profit before tax. Once you reach the profit before tax stage, find out what is the tax burden. If you want, in the side, you can do this journal entry. So always this journal entry will be like this. Tax expense debit, cash credit and tax outstanding credit. Okay. Now you need to figure out that how much has been paid. So tax expense is 1 lakh. So I went ahead and wrote this 1 lakh. I wrote this 1 lakh. Okay. Tax expense debit. This I found out. Now go ahead and find out these two information. How much is paid and how much is yet to be paid. So let's say I go to my information and I find out that of this 50,000 is paid. So that is how I know that this thing needs to be 50,000. Then how much would be outstanding? Agar aapko 1 lakh dena tha, you paid 50,000 out of that, then 50 is outstanding, right? So I know 50 is my this. Now transfer all of these three to their appropriate places. This one will go into the income statement, which you have already written. This one will go into balance sheet, where you will subtract the cash for whatever cash you have paid. And this one will also go into the balance sheet in the liability side. Fine. Questions? What if you have paid more? Uska bhi kar dete hain. Abhi is up till here, any questions? Just a small part. What if you end up paying more? I think this part should be so obvious by now that instead of outstanding, let's say aapne, the information was case number whatever n+1. Let us say tax paid was 1,30,000. Then what? Instead of outstanding the liability side, you will have an advance tax. Advance tax asset 30,000. Fine. So cash yahan se aapka, how things will change? This will go off. Then cash will reduce by 1,30,000, and a new asset will come, advance tax 30,000. ठीक है? समझ आया? All good? Deepika, समझ आया? Okay. Now last bit of complication in the preparation of financial statement is dividend. Very similar to tax. What if there is another information? Let's say information number 3 is dividend is paid at the rate 10%. Let's say it is, just to keep things simpler, dividend is paid at the rate 10%. The moment I am using the word paid means whatever is the burden is paid in cash. So dividend is always paid on the net profit if some rate has been given. If they say 10%, then you automatically apply to this year's net profit. Okay, so 10%, excuse me. Then what do? You don't show it on point number 1. How it will be different? You don't show it on the face of income statement. No, prepare a retained earning ka T account once again. Retained earning ka T account, open it again. Let's say it had an opening balance of something amount. This year's profit, transfer it here. This year's profit will get credited here. So this year's profit is 1 lakh. And then debit dividend.
Sir, we didn't have any retained earning T account, right? We had it like sales revenue and expenses.
Yeah, so
like we need to create a new account, or?
Yeah, prepare it now, no problem.
Okay.
If you have an opening balance, write it. If not, no problem. No need to get emotional about it. Just write the profit there. If you, for example, in this question, it will only the profit will come. Okay, so no problem. So out of 1 lakh rupees, you are paying off 10,000. So that is how when you transfer the retained earning, only 90,000 will get transferred. So when you transfer the retained earning, you will write retained earning 90,000. And now you have done a unilateral entry of dividend, so you need to find a counterbalancing side. Counterbalancing side is exactly similar to tax. If you have paid it, write it, subtract it in cash. If not, then show it is an outstanding. Let's say situation 1, all of this 10,000 has been paid. Then apart from tax, also deduct dividend, less 10,000. That is case 1. If nothing has been paid, let's say dividend paid की जगह लिखा रहता है dividend declared. अभी खाली सुन लो, समझ लो. I will prepare a example of this and send it across so that you have your notes also. Don't bother too much. Right now, just try to understand what I am saying. If the word mentioned is dividend declared, that means what? They are not saying it is paid. They are just announcing that we will give you 10%. That means everything will be outstanding. So instead of subtracting the cash, you will write dividend outstanding 10,000. If suppose the information is a mix, let's say dividend declared is 10% and paid is let's say 5,000, or let me take another number. Too many ones and fives. Let's say paid is 7,000. then what you would have done, instead of subtracting the dividend 10,000, whatever you have paid, that is what you will subtract. And the difference between what you have declared versus what you have paid will be your outstanding. Does it sound logical? Yes, you promised them to pay 10 and you have paid only 7. Does it not mean to say that 7 is outstanding? 3 is outstanding, sorry. So that's what we'll do. We'll say that 3,000 is outstanding. Okay, ab pucho. Questions?
So dividend is on gross income, na?
No, dividend is never on gross income. Dividend is always on profit after tax.
Sir, if like profit before tax is negative, you don't need to consider any tax, right?
Profit before tax is negative, then no tax. Yes, correct. This is so once again, everybody listen to it very carefully. It may seem like a tax rule, but that is more of a common sense and GK. So in most of the countries, if you are a loss-making business, you don't pay taxes. In fact, there may be a situation where you get tax credit, but that part I don't want to confuse you with right now. Let's say you found out profit before tax and it comes out to be a loss. And let's say I say that tax burden of this company is 50%. Then simply write tax as 0. Samajh aaya? Okay. There is something called tax credit also, but don't bother for now. Ignore. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, one doubt in tax expense.
Yeah.
Sir, if we already know that this much is like 50,000 is a tax expense, so will we also create a trial balance account for that?
Okay. Yeah. So what he is mentioning is that what if we are in this case that amount is being mentioned. When amount is being mentioned, then it will run exactly in the similar manner as any other expense was. That you will pass a journal entry, it will go to the ledger account, then it will go to the trial balance, and from there it will move to the income statement. Okay? No distinction at all. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, I had a doubt. ये जो outstanding dividend है, ये listed companies में भी होता है या फिर वो लोग पूरा पेड करके बता देते हैं?
So in general, there is always a lag. So what the question Krishna is asking is that do listed companies always pay the dividend immediately, or is it a special case? What are you talking about? Basically, he's asking real life में क्या होता है? In real life, always there is a lag between when you declare a dividend and when you actually pay it. Also, at some times it may so happen, let's say today I purchase a share of a company, and then let's say I had given something and then I become old and die, or let's say I whatever, and then the account becomes inactive. Now company will keep on paying dividend, right? So they will check who owns this share. Okay, this account holder, and then when they are trying to send the money, nobody is receiving it, right? So there can always be different reasons when you want to give dividend and you cannot. And number 2 is that when you have declared a dividend and you have not given it yet. For all these reasons, there can always be a lag between when you declare the dividend and when you actually pay it. That is why in many balance sheets, you will see a line in the liability side called dividend outstanding. Fine. So it's not an imaginary thing. It's not like real life में ऐसा नहीं होता. Real life में भी होता. Okay. Anything else? All good. In general, in real life, the entities like we have SEBI, so other countries will have similar. Other countries will have similar authorities, so they would want to put certain restrictions so that it shouldn't happen that company ने declare तो कर दिया लेकिन pay नहीं कर रही. So they would want to make it stringent that you pay it as fast as possible, but even then there will be some lag. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so I'll stop here. What we'll do here, what we'll do is that there are quite a few tasks for me. So first of all, some anxieties related to exam, as some people were asking it yesterday. So about format and all. So far the format is more or less going to be a form based. So there will be a question, okay, and within that I will give you a form to fill. For example, let's say I give a long case and then I will say that prepare a trial balance and give me a number of cash, that what is the total net balance of cash here. Or let's say I will give you that if prepare an income statement and give me these numbers, or I may ask all of these numbers. Okay, so basically it will be a form based question. Okay, that is what is highly likely scenario. Highly likely, why am I keeping one thing reserved is that you should understand that this online platform is new to me as well. So this is what I have in mind. This is how I will try to prepare a question paper. In case it doesn't succeed, then I'll just prepare a regular income statement, balance sheet or kind of a question, and then you will have to use your pen and paper and upload the sheet. But that is only when my plan A fails. Sometimes something is not happening and maybe I'm not able to create a question the way I want it. Only in that situation. That is a last resort. Okay. Highly likely by tomorrow evening you would know that which case it is. But for now, this one is the highly likely scenario, that it will be a form based. The moment it is form based, two things you should keep in mind is that point number one, as some people were requesting yesterday कि कुछ Excel कर रहे थे, कुछ बोल रहे थे कि notebook पे दे दो. Both of these things are okay because I'm not taking anything from you either. So you rough notes, whether you are doing your calculation on an Excel sheet, it's okay with me. You're doing it on your notebook using pen and paper, okay with me. All I care about is that whether these numbers are correct or not. That is point number one. Point number two, more importantly, or rather most important of all, that read the instructions very carefully and maintain the formatting requirements. So for example, same number you are writing, but if you did not follow the formatting, let's say I told you that write the number as with one decimal place. So write 2,31,596.8. If you wrote 0.763, then this will be incorrect. Why? Because I don't know how the software is going to check. Is it going to check text-wise or is it going to round up? So ensure a strict following to the rounding up. So if I say that round it up to the nearest decimal place, if you write the answer like this, round it up to nearest integer, if you write the answer like this, even though it might be correct answer, you will get 0 marks. Why? Because the system will not recognize it. Okay? So of course, if I'm making you this this strict expectation from you, I will also accommodate for the fact. I will accommodate for the fact in two manners. One will be that I will tell you the exact formatting that you need to follow even before the exam. So I will send it to you. कि इस format में numbers डालना. At least for numbers and percentages, I will tell you the format so that it doesn't come a surprise. अरे मैं तो भूल ही गया था, मैंने तो पढ़ा ही नहीं था. Okay, that is number one. Number two will be that even after I gave you the format in advance, I understand that it will still take some effort. क्योंकि आप कैलकुलेटर में या एक्सेल में कहीं कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो, then the format will be different. So for that, I will give you a little bit of extra time. So for example, whatever is the time, ideally the question will be much easier than what is the time allocated. So that time difference will be available to you so that you can spend some time taking care of the thing, formatting mistake to need. Fine. These are the two things that I will be making sure if I give you the form-based question, which is highly likely for now. Next is that unfortunately this time my section is not getting any time before exam and the classes end. When is the FRA exam?
Thursday.
Thursday, but your first exam starts on first day itself is the first exam and then is the FRA. So no time at all. So make sure that these are the things. So these are the things that I have in for you. One is that it's more of homework for me than for you, but you should know that what homework I'm going to do. So one is that for this dividend and tax, I will create an example and send it across to you so that you have something to refer to. Dividend and taxes wala. Second will be that you have a tutorial today. In tutorial, practice and a full length question Also, I have suggested to Mayank that practice a question which has an opening balance sheet, so that you have a taste of this type of question as well. Third will be that, as there was a little bit of confusion yesterday about at the end of the chapter there is no question. So I found out yesterday that Kindle version somehow has cheated you. So Kindle version of RNS book doesn't have questions at the end of the chapters. Unfortunately, we keep RNS only primarily for the purpose of it has plenty of questions. So if the question itself is not there, I don't know what Kindle version is works to you. So for that, I have already suggested. I think by now CS would have already gotten some way around to that. So the idea is that you should go ahead and find out the PDF version of the book. PDF version has the questions. समझ आ रहा है क्या बात कर रहा हूँ? Okay, so find out PDF version, and on that you have questions and use that to practice. Now, once you practice questions, you are clueless that whether what you have solved is correct or not. So for that, one solution is that across the 3 sections, make 1 or 2 questions at max. If you really hate me, make 3 of them. 3 questions, send it to me, and I will prepare a solution of that and send it to you. Okay, so that you can match what you are doing is correct or not. Okay. 4th one is that on top of all of these, I will be available for a doubt clearing session, or rather more than a doubt clearing session. You want 2, I'm okay. You want 3, I'm okay. As long as there are, so if there are, let's say 5 or more people, then I can take it as a combined session. If less than that, just call me up, or maybe put the question on the group. Highly likely somebody else will answer it, or maybe I will answer it. So any of these methods, make a good use of all of these channels and make sure that you are really well prepared for the exam. So that's all I can think of from my side. Anything?
So number of questions, sections, sectional time limits.
Okay, so time limit, questions, question की content और कौन से question पूछेंगे, कितना नंबर का, उसका solution वगैरह सब नहीं बताऊंगा. कुछ तो छोड़ दो एग्जाम के लिए. Time you already know, right? Slot has been assigned. तो अब क्या question paper थोड़ी लीक कर दूंगा यार. मतलब कुछ लिखा क्या इधर? दिख रहा है क्या वीडियो में? नहीं. Okay. Format wise, whatever I think, whatever, I just don't want to throw a surprise, because I throw a surprise to you, you might throw a bigger surprise back at me. I don't want to see that situation. So that is why, because things are pretty new in a lot of senses in this online mode, this is for the first time that there will be a form. So I don't know, you might be thinking all doom and gloom, but it's so difficult to maintain the question ka difficulty level if I'm giving it in a format. Exams, the content, at least the exam content part has become extremely easy for you. So there is plenty of good, as long as you maintain the formatting and you write the correct numbers. I think the solving part will take much lesser time for you as it would have been if it was a regular pen and paper exam. क्योंकि आधी चीजें तो मैं वही लिख दूंगा. It's more like गोला रंगना है. गोले रंगने की जगह आपको नंबर डालने हैं. So you already know that a lot of things because of the format being there. So things are much easier also for you, but it's okay. I don't want to try too many things. So I'll just go with the route that I think is the best fit. So question paper leak कराने के अलावा कुछ पूछ लो तो then it's okay. Okay.
So could you check if the form accepts a range of numbers, say 65.8 है अगर आंसर तो 60.5.
So basically, so the what I have seen in the portal so far is that the only option we will have is like a short text. Now short text takes anything. तो उसमें मेरे लिए गालियां वगैरह भी लिख दोगे वो आ जाएगा, एंटर ले लेगा. Even though the requirement is numbers. ऐसा लिखना नहीं, please. Not that I would do anything. I'm not at all a judgmental person, but you are better off writing some correct answers there. नहीं आता तो छोड़ देना.
So like for some questions you said that there might be a reasonable assumption that we need to make like software and equipment.
Yes.
So for that, in that case, would that be like objective marking or?
Basically, see, the thing is that tonight and tomorrow night, my entire time is going to be spent on just imagining कि इसका कोई भी sentence का कोई और meaning possible है कि नहीं. So I'll make my life miserable in tonight and tomorrow night. I have already spent 3 nights on this, but still I have to spend further. But my attempt would be that no other explanation is possible. जनता फिर भी बहुत चमत्कारी है, वो बोलेगी कि आपने जो लिखा था सब झूठ है, then you lose marks. So then it's all your risk. But at least all these kind of things that where it's not at all clear, or rather there is not a clear winner, at least there will be a clear winner. If there are 2 possible assumptions, there will be 1 clear winner. Okay, so go with the winner. Don't think कि अब मुझे तो let's say कुछ उल्टा पुल्टा assumption करके नंबर लिख देता हूँ, बाद में टीचर को फंसा के देखूंगा. टीचर बहुत चालू आदमी है, वो नंबर काट देगा और सुनेगा नहीं तुम्हारी बात. ठीक है, तो don't throw a challenge to the prof. Just make the most reasonable assumption. That's all I'm telling.
So
Okay.
sometimes there are things like you said, if nothing is mentioned, assume that it hasn't been paid, like for tax.
Yes. So I'm assuming that whatever during these courses of 15 lectures I have said, you remember all. So default assumption जो मैंने बोला है, you remember it all. If you don't, that is why the link is provided. इससे ज़्यादा spoon feeding तो possible ही नहीं है कहीं यूनिवर्स में. तो link available है, दोबारा वीडियो देखो, बैठ के अभी से मैराथन मारो, Lord of Rings uncut version. Yeah. Okay.
So when you
There
say
are certain
form,
anxieties that, okay, just hold on, Jitendra. So for all purposes, class is over. If anybody wants to disconnect, go ahead. I'll keep on answering some of the things. Not a problem. So I'll be here for a little bit. Yeah, go ahead, Jitendra.
so when you say a form, I'm not exactly able to visualize it. Like, how do you?
For example, let's say I will say that write the numbers in to the nearest integer and round it up, and then let's say I'll say that don't use any comma or any rupees or any credit or debit or something. So this is how, let's say you want to write 5,30,000.34. So 5,30,000.34, just ignore, that's all done. तो वो मैं एग्जांपल बता के दिखा दूंगा. उसके when I give you the instruction, still things are not clear to me, then you get back to me कि अभी भी मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि इस नंबर को कैसे लिखूंगा. Okay, so that is the whole point of sending it to you, sending you the instructions in advance, so that you are comfortable with the formatting. Fine. बाद में मत आके बोलना कि ये सर नंबर तो मुझे भी सही आया था, but you are deducting marks. No, I'm not deducting. System will deduct the marks. Now I have an excuse. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, will the question papers format be similar to the quiz format that we had?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. This one is a different portal. I think you guys would have been given one small tutorial or a mock test. So I don't know what happened there, but it's not going to be like one, there is an MCQ, udhar mein you just select checkbox. No. You can expect a full-fledged case-based question. You can expect small caselets, a number of caselets, or you can find a combination of these, 1 or 2 MCQs. Anything is possible. Okay.
Sir, and also like don't have recordings for 1 or 2 classes here and there. So if we can,
I think I said this already to somebody. I think 1 or 2 people have already said this. So all I want is that मुझे ये तो बताओ कि कौन सा नहीं है. You text me a number or the date of the sessions that what you
Yes,
don't
sir.
have recordings of, then I will just share it. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So you may share it in the group so that others also know that. Fine. Okay. Anything else?
So will there be questions where we have to do the entire thing from T tables to then balance all the steps, because that will take so much time, like save mark. If you have to do all the process, it will take 1 hour there only.
So लगाओ फिर 1.5 hours. ऐसे ही पढ़ा है क्या? एग्जाम में कुछ तो पूछूंगा. Yes, you should be prepared. Right now, don't get too much anxious that when you are practicing, it is taking 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. So that should not make you anxious. You will see that this number very drastically comes down. extremely drastically. So if you have practiced, let's say 5 questions, then from 4 hours your time should reduce to 1 hour or maybe even 40 minutes. That much reduction happens. Okay, so right now in the beginning, don't worry, because you are thinking everything very slow and you are going much detail. So if you practice 4-5 times, then a lot of shortcuts you did find out. Fine. So question, the timing, bottom line, timing will be reasonable. Okay, that's what I hope, that I will make it reasonable. I end up making it reasonable or not, I don't know, myself don't know. Yeah, go ahead. Next, anything?
Sir, I have a question. Supposedly, if we have 3 entries related to cash account and we do 2 of them right, but we make the mistake in third one.
ये बढ़िया
so
question पूछा है. Unfortunately, many people have logged out. But what he is saying is that T account का आपने खाली number पूछा है. I got, let's say, why only the 3 of them right? Let's say 99% right and 1 thing wrong. Do we get step marking? यही question है ना?
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, no. Step marking is available only, like, it's not even step marking, rather part marking is available. So let's say there are 50 parts or 20 parts or 30 parts. So as long as you get any number of parts correct, you will keep on getting marks for them. But within parts, let's say for whatever reason, मैंने तो बोला तुषार, even if you got the correct number, if you don't write it in a perfect format, then also you lose all the marks. So things are even more severe. It's only because it's a form-based exam. So question paper easy हुआ है तो कुछ तो difficult होना चाहिए. So that's what is the difficulty for you. That when you're writing a number, be 100% sure. Yeah.
So,
Sure. Anything else? Yeah.
I have gone through the PDF that is shared by CR, but the contents are almost same with the Kindle version, and we don't find any problems at the end of the chapter 3.
Exactly. The PDF version was also not available. I also checked.
Yes, sir. If you can send screenshot of the problems, it will be really helpful.
So are you guys saying that even in PDF you don't have questions?
No.
We
No,
have
sir.
at chapter 2, sir, but we don't have any questions under chapter 3 at the end of chapter 3.
That's okay. तो PDF में है कि नहीं है?
नहीं है sir.
नहीं है sir.
PDF में भी नहीं है.
It's same sir as a Kindle version.
तो ये कब बताने की कोशिश कर रहे थे तुम लोग? Okay, fine. तो मैं ऐसे हवा में आप लोगों को टास्क दिए जा रहा हूँ, तुमको पता ही नहीं कि वो करना किधर का है. So now I think I will have to take a snapshot of all the pages and maybe go to jail. I don't know even allowed to take snapshots and send it across or not. कोई अपने सीनियर को पकड़ो जिसके पास बुक हो, ठीक है? Rest all still it is on recording, so I better stop recording. जनता पूरा जेल में डलवा के मानेगी.